Hello, everybody. Welcome to this session on licensing and Color Vowel. I'm Karen Taylor of the Color Vowel Chart. So glad to have so many people here today. I'd love to know who's in the room and just a little glimpse of what brought you to today's session about licensing. Give me an idea of what you're interested in so that I can speak to that specifically. Okay. If I could, I'd love to start since Glenda, you were here first. So Glenda, can we start with you? Where you are, uh, who you teach,
Hmm.
and then what brings you today.
Okay, hello. I'm in Saskatchewan, Canada, which is where I'm from. I came here today because it's, well, a new way of introducing sounds and vowels, and I was just interested. What else were your questions? I've taught for a very, very long time. I first tutored at the age of 15, so I guess that's over. We won't say how many, more than 55 years. Gee, how's that? But
Wonderful.
anyways, I enjoy it very much, and thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Thanks for being here. Hello, Amina.
Hello, I'm Amina, and I live in the DC area. And I am so interested in color vowel, and I took the basic and level one trainings.
Oh,
And I'm here today because I was curious that an individual might be able to get licensing. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear about that.
All right. Good. Then I will put, yeah, we're definitely focused on individual licensing today. That's great. Hi, now.
Hi. Okay. Hello, everybody.
oh,
And I live in Japan, Tokyo, Japan. And I teach from high school students to elderly people, um, and mostly English pronunciation. Yay. So, and I'm here today is that I teach level one and for especially Japanese English teachers. So, and I got a lot of questions about the licensing. So that's why I want to make sure once again. So that's why I'm here today.
So happy to have you. So now is one of our level 3 trainers. That means that she trains teachers for us, and she specializes doing that in Japan. So glad to have you here. Hi, Joan. How are you?
I'm all right, just hot. Here in the middle of the US, we're having that heat wave. I don't know if everyone's in that situation, but it is a killer here. So, anyways, my name is Joan Booth, and I my job was just eliminated, so I am unemployed right now.
Oh,
So,
Joan,
anyway,
sorry to hear that.
yeah, just kind of sad about
Mhm.
that. But with the funding from the federal government being cut, that's why. So,
Okay,
um, so I want to continue online English teaching, so I'm contemplating striking out on my own. So I thought this would be useful.
yeah.
great. I thought we were just going to celebrate that you had recently become level 2 certified and
Yeah, sure.
raise the bar back up on that one.
Yeah.
Great work. I'm so sorry to hear that. Let's see what
Yeah.
we can do today that might provide some hope. Thanks. I want to say hi to Tiffany. It's been a little while, Tiffany. Good to see you.
Hello. We just got into Wisconsin, so I'm filling you with the heat in the Midwest. But normally I'm based out of Spain. I have a little English academy there, and then I also teach online. So I'm curious to hear about both in-person and online teaching and the licensing, how that works.
Great, great. Glad to have you back, Tiffany. Let's see. We've got a couple folks. Davi and Anna, if you wish to introduce yourself, make yourself known. Otherwise, you can write something in the chat. I can understand if you want to do that too. Okay, I'll let you do your introductions over there. Okay. I'm going to start with a little bit kind of a workshopy approach. Today, I'm going to start with a couple questions to get you thinking about licensing, more specifically sort of about whether if you're a person who's offering services as a self-employed teacher, right? And then we're going to move a little bit into color val just for anybody who's new to it. So those of you who are already trained to some extent, feel free to make comments and be the peanut gallery in the chat or answer any questions that arise. And then we'll move into sort of the specifics of licensing and what you might want from it and what we're able to offer. Okay. So my first question I want to say hi to Kirsty. Nice to have you back. Welcome. Let's see. So my first question for you is, what makes your, if you think from your student's perspective, what makes your instruction distinctive? And here you're allowed to, do a little bit of bragging rights. What makes your teaching special? If you could just put some ideas in the chat, I'd love to see some of the ways that you're thinking about your value. And we have incredible value.
See,
Right. We're not used to being asked this question. I realize, but I'm going to go and just put that there, let it stare at you. For example, I love that I'm really good at connecting with students. Maybe I stole everybody's.
maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe, great. Hi, Davi, good to have you.
Mhm.
Okay, we're still doing some self-introductions. You can take a look over in the chat, everybody. Okay. So what are some, you can speak up if you'd like instead, but I think it's important to take a moment and think about our distinctions, our values, what it is that a student would say about. What about you, Wendy? What do people say about Wendy as a teacher?
I was trying to step away. I thought I got rid of my video. I wasn't expected to be called on.
Sorry. But Wendy's with
I'll
me a
come back
lot.
to
I kind of feel safe, like I'll call on Wendy.
I'm just having technical issues because I have a brand new laptop, but I haven't set it up
Yeah.
normally, and I'm looking in the wrong direction, and I'm like, I don't know where to look.
Look to your right. That second place, right there. There you
Right.
go.
I know where to look, but I can't see you when I look here because you're on my other screen because I don't have I have two monitors and they're not synced yet.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
psychological. I get
yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
what makes me unique as a teacher? One thing that I offer my students is study skills, in addition to teaching them English, because I teach at a rather large university with an ESL institute, and many of them want to go on and get bachelor's degrees here in the States. And helping them learn how to be an American student attending, or at least a student attending an American university versus attending one in another place. The study skills are probably different. So I really try to teach them that, and that's something that I think I offer them that other programs might not do.
It's a beautiful example, recognizing something that you think maybe others don't. Distinctive, right? Other thoughts? Thanks a lot for getting us started, Wendy. That's wonderful. Tiffany, let's see. Tiffany just mentioned empathy. I understand what it's like to learn another language, creative and flexible. Yeah, huge, huge bonus to be creative and flexible. And fun. Okay, I'm going to add those. Creative, flexible, and fun. Okay. What about you, Amina? You want to summarize what you were talking about there? Oh, yeah. We can't hear you yet.
Yeah, I create a lot of content for students based on what I think they need. So even if I have a text that have to use, I'll create content to go along with that text. And of course, I'm using Color Vowel with them. So I'm astonished at I really am astonished at how much they like it. And they don't like this so much. But
Yeah.
I make them do this, and I've worked with a real beginner, and so I've gotten her to the point where she underlines the vowel, she knows about the stress, and I can just say, this is, what color is this word, or I can tell her what color the word is, and then she's able to pronounce the word, and that part is great, and it's fun. I am having a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Oh, that's great, Amina. Davi, hi, Davi. Great to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. You said it's kind of obvious, but you think using color vowel in your classes makes it distinctive. All right. Oh, and you've met Mary Birch. She's an American down in Brazil these days. And there aren't, Brazil's a huge country, so there are other color vowel teachers down there, but big country. Davi, it's wonderful. I think you know a couple of others down there. That's great. Yeah. Let's see, Joan, you want to add anything there from your comments?
Not necessarily, just, I think brain base is really key to, and that's what I mean by accessible. When you're trying to engage their brain, knowing how to do that and stuff like that, the students you're like, oh, okay. They understand things a little better. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I've had students since before COVID. They just kept coming back. I mean, not constantly, but they would always just keep coming back to our classes and stuff. And so just, made a lot of connections with students through the time.
Yeah, exactly. Great. So we've been visiting sort of some of the things that make us distinctive as teachers. And I just summarized some of these for you. I put this one last. I used color vowel with them because obviously that's where we're headed in this conversation. So if we take all of the talents and the strengths that we have and the emotional intelligence that we have, all of our expertise, all of those things, and then we start to add color vowel, we can start to imagine what we can say to students and to future employers as well, which is that I use this recognized brain-based method. I know that it boosts comprehensibility. Amina kind of touched on that. I'm able to make this tiny adjustment, a big payout. And it immediately kind of addresses the issue. I am raising confidence, and I know so because my students can come back and do things confidently, not just say they're more confident. Okay. That it makes me a phenomenal language teacher, which I think many of you already know you and you are. But we want to be able to say this with some amount of substance, right? What we've done at Color Vowel is we've developed a comprehensive method for teaching spoken English. I've been doing this now for over 25 years with field development by teaching, but also by sharing it with so many other teachers largely through TESOL, our professional organization. So year after year, starting in 2003, that was my first conference. My co-author and I just shared our insights and our strategies and the chart for over a decade, just out there in the field, and people came back to us with their insights. So that's how we know that what we do works. We've tried spreading it to all kinds of teachers, volunteer teachers who have no formal training, as well as people who have masters and PhDs. So we we know we've struck an important, we've found an important place in the methodology with what we do. We have strategic partnerships with organizations. We work closely with everything from a small company called Blue Canoe that powers our app to the Department of State through the United States Department of State and Office of English Language Programs. We also, though, have these, I'll just make that a little bigger. We have partners, and those partners are folks like you. In fact, some of you in the room know some of these partners, which we'll meet a few of them, Keenan Rhodes, and a few others. So think of these are small organizations or universities or programs. Today, I'll be speaking more to the individual side who use Color Vowel to a degree that is called accredited, right? So licensing is think of it as the brand side, saying I'm a Color Vowel teacher, I'm going to put the brand out there. And the accreditation that follows with it is following through on the promise, so that when students actually go there to that teacher or to that school, it is delivered. They receive that Color Vowel instruction on a strong, high quality level. At any time that you have questions, I am watching the chat, by the way, so just pop that in there if you wish, okay? I'm going to talk a little bit about English through stories and through strategies. We can say a lot of things about English, but one thing I say a lot of is that English is a stress-timed language. I think that is a very big idea. People know it, but the way that it manifests for our learners is very profound and can create kinds of challenges and barriers to their success. This is a story of precisely that. We had, back in the early 2000s, we had a student who was in Manhattan walking around. He's from Japan. walking around, and he wanted to find this street. And this is what it looks like in his mind. And so he walked around lost. This is before you had GPS maps. It was back when you actually talked to people to solve your problems of being lost in a city. And so he walked up to people who were busy walking down the street. And he said something along the lines each time when he came back and told this story. He said, excuse me, where is Canal Street? And, 2, 3, and 4 times, where's Canal Street? And each time the person would walk away, or, I can't help you, buddy. I don't know. I've never heard of that street, that kind of thing. And that was while he was studying with Shirley, my co-author, and she had just delivered a unit on English as a stress time language. And so he remembered that, okay, English speakers care about this thing called stress. I will try that. And so he walked around a little bit more and he said to somebody, excuse me, where is Canal Street? And they said, oh, it's just up here. Go turn right. It's just down there. You're going to see it. And he succeeded, right? So what's the difference between canal and canal? Isn't it pretty small? It's not a big difference acoustically. Canal, canal. It's not even quite the right vowel, but the stress made the difference. The time on the vowel right there made a difference for him. It was the difference between getting there and not getting there. And so this thing is happening in the vowel sounds of English. We have to figure out, well, which vowel sound. So he said canal, and he comes from a 5 vowel system. So that 5 vowel system of Japanese is, maybe you could do it for me now. Could you? I'll point and you say the vowel sound.
A, E, I, O, U.
And what's this one again?
A.
Okay, good. And Tiffany, living in Spain, I think you hear these, something like these vowels as well. Would you go ahead and perform those for us also in order?
A, E, I, O, U.
Great. So these 5 vowels are not even a subset of the vowels we have in English. They're simply different. But they kind of loosely map, right? They map onto our vowel chart in ways that we can start to see. Now, this looks, I'm going to say admittedly, this looks like chemistry. It's just really complicated. I'm going to see if maybe I want to play this and see if it lights up in a nicer way. There we go. So what you're looking at now is these same 5 vowels, a, e, I, o, u, but mapped onto the color vowel chart. And the chart allows us so many different conveniences, but one of them is that it helps us understand the relationship between the vowels, that they're actually on a continuum of yeah. So as you sweep down and around, you start to see, okay, what am I doing as I create these different sounds and come up? But the next most obvious thing you see when we look here is that the vowel sounds of, in this case, Japanese or Spanish, or in many other languages, straddle the boundaries between 2 distinct vowels in English. So we're saying green tea, the E sound in green and tea, and the silver pin I sound, these can actually change the meaning of a word, as we all know. So if we take peel and pill, for example, we would start to feel that these are very 2 different sounds, okay? And for the speaker of that language is pil, pil, okay? Same thing here with gray A and red pepper E. We have something along the lines of pepper and pepper, 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 pepper. Which one is which, right? So because it's straddling. And you can find words that sort of collapse into one when we use these other vowel systems, right? So the chart allows us to start to see what the problem is immediately. In fact, a student can start to say, hey, teacher, I really need help with my black cat. So just having that as a point of reference, where they could say, I need help with my short A, but chances are they don't have that as a salient term because short A never meant anything to them. They know how to get the right answer when it's put in a book like that, but it's not a name the way we have our names for our friends. So black cat is like a first and last name for this vowel sound. And now we're not only remembering its name, we are actually performing a version of its sound or working toward the ideal, some ideal production of ah for black and cat. Okay. So these anchor images turn out to be super handy for teaching because they go hand in hand with naming out loud. And we no longer have to turn to a whiteboard or some other surface to write a symbol the way we used to. And Glenda, I'm kind of watching you because, you know, through the years, we used to, IPA was all the rage, and then, okay, maybe something else. But we don't have to turn to the board in order to talk about speaking anymore. And that's a huge win for us. Okay. I'm going to move back to my other view there. Great. So as I move down a little bit, this is the chart in color. It's kind of handy that way, but I wanted to show you that black and white version prior because it's always important to remind folks, this is not about the color perception. This is really the phrases that get us through, and the color is a visual, say, reward. So if you are a colorblind person, it's okay because those images that we use so much of allow us to distinguish in ways that the color alone does not. Okay. All right. Quick example of what this really starts to do in terms of efficiency and comprehensibility. This is a video of a teacher named Liz, and she's working with actually a middle schooler who's from Japan. And he's about to say these three words. He's about to actually mispronounce these three words. He knows them enough that he's able to answer these vocabulary questions quite accurately, but he mispronounces them. So let's listen to what he does. And let's also notice what Liz does to nudge him. Let's call it nudging. It's not exactly a correction. It's more like a prompt. So here we go. And actually, let me take a moment. I want to make sure that my audio settings are the best for you. Okay, one sec. All right, there we go. Thank you.
And she could hear the impatience in her voice downstairs.
Okay, what if I tell you that this word is gray day?
Lady,
Mm-hmm.
impatience.
Yeah.
She couldn't believe this many people were here to see her. She was a novice.
Which one?
Novice.
Okay, I'm going to tell you that it's an olive sock word. Olive sock.
All sock. Novice.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Most new performers never had this large of a
What's this word?
crowd.
That word is brown cow.
Crowd.
Yep.
All right. Noticeable improvement. Yeah, I mean, he went from not the word to the word. Novice became novice. Impatience became impatience, and crowd became crowd. Okay, and those were just three little clues. He already knew how this worked. He was familiar with the chart. His teacher had introduced him to it. Doesn't take long. Nowadays, I think back then we didn't really have the images, but nowadays we even have image cards. So you could simply show the card and then they can make a correction without any verbal interference. So lots of ways to provide these prompts. The key is, and what you didn't get to see, is that Liz was also using a gesture. And Amina was referring to that earlier. She's using some kind of a gesture to help him know what it sounds like afterwards. So she said, what if I tell you that this is a gray word? And then he says, or I think it was novice, olive, sock, and now he's using his hand, novice, okay? Because his mind's eye was aiming for that syllable. So he's using a gesture to help support how much time we spend on it, okay? So that's been pretty powerful. We've seen this time and again. What he does then is important. He moves over to an organizer at the end of class with his teacher, ideally, and they take a moment to review those words that were tricky, or you turn right to the organizer at the moment and enter them, okay? So what does that look like? If we have these three words like novice, impatience, and crowd, as they go into the organizer, it's situated a lot in the same order as the chart. And I say a lot just because these two are on the side of the chart in the actual chart, but we fit them in here, okay? So here goes impatience. Everyone try impatience with a hand. Impay, great. So that same place where you're opening your hand and extending the time and raising the note, by the way, right? Impatience. We're also then finding its location on the chart, impatience, and we're underlining precisely the moment of that peak, that vowel. And so it's just the vowel letter that we underline. And we start laying the groundwork for some really profound work later on that involves spelling, by the way, okay? So similarly with novice, we then move an olive, sock, novice, and then crowd, wow, wow, wow. We start to find that sound, ow, wow, and simply match it. And so it ends up under brown cow. And so that's the kind of work that the student does. Think to yourself this, if we talk about study skills, which was mentioned earlier, a learner can go home and can actually practice their pronunciation in a couple ways. One is they know how it sounds because they've already learned the anchor phrases. Olive and sock have the same sound, not just the same letter. In fact, the letters might change from anchor phrase to anchor phrase, okay? But he knows how it sounds, which then means he can apply that sound in any new word as long as he knows where to apply it. So we, as teachers, are trained in how to do this consistently and accurately, okay? He then can do the same thing with other interesting words like these three that, I've been giving this version of this presentation for a couple of years now, and every time I come to these three words, I just love the game that it plays with my eyes. That I can look at it as a learner and see how visually these are identical up until the suffix, and how logical it would be to just think that this is photograph, photographer, and photographic. That's not at all how we gloss words, right? We're expecting something very different to be able to feel it at home with that word. And so photograph, photographer, right? No mark, we have no idea. How do you know? That's where the stress is. How do you know? You have to know already, which sounds a little bit like that thing where like, I've lost my ID. And they're like, well, you can't get a new ID until you show us your ID. It's that problem. Like, how do you know how it sounds? Well, you have to know how it sounds. But we have these ears, and I think they're highly underutilized. I think we don't, in our instruction, provide enough opportunity to listen and match and start to form sensitivity to how words sound. That's listening for the stress, learning how to listen for the stress as a time thing and as a pitch thing. Okay. And it also helps us listen to the vowel quality that we keep working on between one sound and the next on the chart. Okay. So as we move along, we have this experience where we can start to transform our English. Okay. I wanted to stop for a minute before sharing this next piece of video, which is just to say that we know from the brain studies that there's so much more to pronunciation than simply knowing that novice is olive. It's also doing novice as an olive word. And the knowing is one step that I think we often sort of take as, oh, it's done. But then the student walks around saying novice, or navis, or any other version of it. So the chart allows us to explore these differences between connected vowels, and the lines help us understand different features that connect these vowels. So without going into a lot of detail there, our chart is a literal touchstone that the learner also touches during the session. Okay. I think what I'd like to do is share a little bit of what improvement sounds like and give you a sense of how soon that can start to manifest. This is as you can see, a before and after. This is a gentleman. It's by chance that I have so many clients featured from Japan because we have lots of other data, but today is Japan. This is a gentleman from Japan. He's received at this point 4 hours of pronunciation instruction from one of our teachers, Alicia, working at Gabi Academy. That's one of our licensed partners. So this is a school that serves Japanese, mostly business people in Japan. So she's been working with him as part of an elevator pitch workshop. Okay. Let's go ahead and listen. I'm going to ask you to think of a 3-point scale of assessment. 3 is going to be, I understand him completely, and I'm ready to invest in his company. 2 is, I understand what he's asking money for. And 1 is, I don't know what he's asking for because I can't really understand him. So that's the scale. You ready? Okay.
Yep.
Here? Okay, yeah.
Yep. Yes.
Yep. Okay, let's go.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Hi. I'm Hiro Hamada. I'm both a mobility designer and a racing rider of motorcycle. In the past, I participated in the Tutti Italian GP held in San Marino, Italy. I'm building the next generation electric motorcycle like Tesla. In 4WD vehicle, slipping accidents are prevented by having the other tires compensate for the slipped tire. We'll adapt the same feature in the motorcycle.
I'm going to stop there. In the chat, I'd like to see your 3, 2, 1 analysis. Okay. So 3 is, I'm ready to invest. 2 is, I'm going to have to learn a lot more. And 1 is, I'm not even sure what he's, I'm not sure what's going on here. And you can do 0.5s if you feel more comfortable with 0.5s. What do you score him? Okay. 1.5. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and listen again and see what this sounds like. Oops. There we go. This is 4 hours of instruction, not the same day, but 4 hours of instruction later. Here we go.
Hi. Okay. Hi. Hi. Hello. I'm Hiro Hamada. I'm the president and product designer of the ambitious company Ride Design. My company is currently working on creating a revolutionary motorcycle. My passion for motorcycle comes from my background as a professional motorcycle racer. I've been involved in racing for over 30 years and have competed in international races across Italy. During one of my races, I had an unfortunate tire slip and had to end the race early. This incident inspired me to create a motorcycle with features similar to 4WD vehicle, so that people can ride on snowy roads and through deserts without experiencing any unfortunate accidents, like I did.
Okay. Score? Go ahead and put that in there. Okay, so we're higher, right? We're better. Okay. What did you notice specifically that gave a higher score? We're up to 2.5s when we were down in the 1s before. We're down in the 1, 1, 1, 1.5. Yeah. What did you notice? I mean, specifically, was there a word that stood out or just a moment where you thought, oh, I really can listen to this guy?
There was clarity.
Yeah, clarity. Yep. So that clarity, that we're not really built to show or to ourselves what it is that makes clarity. But I can tell you that the main thing he used was stress. And I know that because this is a mock-up on this next page that I'll show you. It's a mock-up of what his script looked like, what he was working with to practice. Okay. So there was a lot more here that Alicia did with him in those 4 hours. But this was the core of it, which is identifying the important words, identifying the stress syllable of those important words, and identifying the vowel that pertains to that stress syllable. So essentially three things in a bunch of spoken text. What's important, where's the stress, and what color is it, right? And so we have black cat passion, rowboat motorcycles. This might have been the one word you understood the first time. But by the second time, he's got all of this down: the motorcycle racer, the professional, okay, unfortunate tire slip, all of these items, okay? And so that's just a glimpse. Alicia is a level 3 teacher trainer now, and as now is. And so she's been with this for a while, working through her journey. What that looks like is she started off with level 1 training. She then moved into that level 2 journey and completed her level 2 instruction the way Joan has. And then she spent a year in her level 3 journey, continuing with her studies. And so now she trains both for Color Vowel occasionally and also for Gabby Academy. Okay, so Gabby Academy is one of our partners. Let me give you a couple of other case studies, and then I'll start to move into the particulars of licensing if you're interested. One thing is you're probably wondering if you need licensing. Like, there's a chance that somebody here is being cautious, or they want to be sure that they're not somehow running afoul of what licensing is and when they should do it. And so I developed this a while back for a conference, and I just thought I'd walk through it briefly so you understand that using Color Vowel to teach is not a required activity for licensing. The fact that you use Color Vowel is wonderful, but that's called educational use. If you are using the chart in your classroom, you're using Color Vowel images to create materials that you use with your students in your classroom. Maybe you use some of our Color Vowel videos, or you make your own, and maybe you post those in Blackboard or some other LMS, some other kind of learning platform, okay? Or maybe you've even written a course around Color Vowel, or you've integrated Color Vowel into a course that you teach, okay? All of these are normal instructional, educational activities, and licensing is not required for them. Training is always welcome, encouraged, because we get better at what we do as we touch it more and more, okay? When we start to post things or do things that are public, and I'm sort of using this line here and these references as a signal for public, that's when you want to start talking about licensing with me. That would be posting, say, Instagram or TikTok videos or YouTube videos that the public watch, and saying, using color vowels in them, or making some kind of implicit promise. I'm a Color Vowel teacher. I use Color Vowel. Come see me. I will set you up with some classes. Okay. Teachers pay teachers. That's where a lot of materials are exchanged. If you start publishing there and you like to do that and you're paid for it, or you make free materials as a kind of loss leader to get clients. All of these are activities that are commercially oriented and public oriented, okay? And they're not bad activities, but they do require licensing because it helps us ensure that the customer, the client, receives what it is they went there for, what they were drawn by, okay? So again, if you use social media, if you are a materials writer or publisher, if you work for yourself and you're planning to find ways to draw new clients, chances are you'll be doing something in public because you're trying to find those new clients. And that's when we can talk about ways that Color Vowel supports you and that you then support the quality of the Color Vowel brand. Okay, there are 3 steps to licensing. Okay, the first is that you do have to get level 1 trained before you start the licensing journey. A lot of you in the room are already, in fact, almost everybody. Yeah, a lot of you in the room already have level 1 training. Okay, so you're set for that. Beyond that, the actual licensing agreement then promotes additional training. We incentivize that. And depending on your level, that's going to be an incentive, or it's going to influence the price of your renewal. Okay. The launch of the license is consistent. It's $1,250 for the first 18 months, and that's for everybody. Beyond that, though, I'll be showing you the prices for renewals and how that goes down with training. Okay. But this allows for the journey, essentially the course or the set of conversations that help us form this relationship where you basically represent Color Vowel for your own company, and then we help you ensure that you're able to deliver on the backside. Okay. The accreditation that comes at the end of 18 months of your initial licensing agreement, that happens when you complete these 12 tasks that we provide you. There are things like put your badge on your website, create an advertising video and submit that to us so we can help make it its best. Learn how to use the Color Vowel Chart as a focus of your videos in certain ways that we stipulate. Like, you can't just show the whole chart. We actually cover up part of the chart to keep control of the brand. And so we give you these guidelines and we help you implement them. Okay, so that's a humble number. I'm actually trying to whittle this down to 10 tasks because I don't think this needs to be like another big hurdle for you, but we try to make sure that what we're aiming for in licensing is achieved within that 18 months. And then you move into renewal. And basically it's an ongoing relationship where we recommend you, we highlight you and your program, and we're able to do features of your company. Okay. So in case anybody is not yet Color Vowel trained, that's a 2-step program. One is a self-paced video module course, and the other is the live practicum that goes with it. So if you are brand new to Color Vowel, just know that this is your first step, and you can learn about that at learn.colorvowel.com. Level 1 teachers. We'll look at that together shortly. Okay. So upon being level 1 trained through that live technique practicum, that's when we're ready to start with a licensing program. I'm going to talk about another licensed partner. This is Keenan Rhodes. She does a lot of her work on YouTube. I think I can call her a YouTuber, but she's an excellent YouTuber who is able to reach a very large audience of appreciative students. And so they come to her, and then some of them work with her. She uses the Color Vowel Chart in her videos. I'll just give you a little taste of that.
Well, hey there and welcome. This is the Clear English Corner, and I'm Keenan, your Clear English coach. In this lesson, we're practicing with common brand names. These are brand names that we hear in daily exchanges and advertising, and they provide a great opportunity for practice with different vowel sounds of North American English, as well as some challenging consonants. As we practice, we'll be using our lovely Color Vowel Chart. This tool was created by my friend and colleague, Karen Taylor.
Okay, so she's starting off. Every few videos, she does a little bit of a promo that says, you know, I work with Karen. She puts up the badge in all videos because this is part of the licensing agreement. And then down below, if you look, say, I'm going to do this right here. If you look below in the description,
and it helps.
She is able to, there we go. So she has her standard verbiage here. Okay. But if you come down, you see Keenan Rhodes, Clear English Corner, is a Color Vowel trained and licensed partner. She has a license, and people who see her videos are able to learn more by going to our website. And what this does is it creates a full circuit, if you will, right? She's out there doing her excellent work. She's using a tool that she can follow through on the backside when they say contract with her privately. They know that they can use the chart with her because she's licensed. And that allows them also to come to us and find out more about what they want to know. So a lot of teachers watch Keenan and they come and get trained with us. So it forms this understanding that that we know she uses the chart, we condone it, we like it, and we have a relationship. Okay, that's different from other videos that I occasionally find where if they're not trained, there's a good chance that they're also not using the chart in a way that meets its potential, and it may not be accurate. So training is a really important part of using the chart. And I think a lot of you who are trained know that. Okay, so that gives you a little glimpse into how she manifests her licensing. Licensing also just allows her then to use the chart on the outside. So all of those are free videos that the public watches, and then they make their way into her business structure. Okay. Before licensing, she was using phonetic symbols. And then after licensing, she went straight into using the chart, and it works really well for her. Also, her viewership has gone up significantly since. All right. So some of the benefits of licensing. One is your company is profiled on colorvowel.com, and we do that in lots of interactive ways. We're actually working on a website makeover right now where we'll have video snippets that show up so that the potential clients can learn a bit about you. We have a monthly coaching call. It's mostly, I have it a couple different times of day each month so that depending on your time zone, we can work together. Okay. We have a quarterly forum that gathers our partners, a lot like if we were to stop this presentation, just start talking now about where you're headed, what you're doing, and what concerns you. But they're themed, and I'll show you some of those themes in just a moment. So they're a little bit, for those of you who know Fridays at, these are very specialized, focused Fridays at for our partners. Okay. Partners also get a 10% discount on their level 2 and actually level 3 courses for that matter. Okay. It's not applicable to bundles. Okay. Our licensing cohort is getting started. It has open enrollment. So if you are interested in this, you can complete this form. You can actually scan that with your phone. And I'll also give you a link to that form. And this is simply an interest form that'll ask you a few more questions about your interest, and then we can find a time to meet. Okay, so there's a link to that licensing form. Be sure to fill that out if you're interested, because I'll contact you and we'll find a time to meet. Okay, some of our upcoming quarterly forum themes for licensed partners. Again, this is every 3 months we meet. One is on, how do we collect student progress? Kind of like that before and after video. What are some strategies that other partners use? What's feasible, but also really shines as far as showing a student their progress so that they can appreciate what's happening to their speech. Okay. This is one coming up on just looking at our website in a fresh way with fresh eyes, and it'll be a workshop. So we'll help each other find, this one part of the website that's a little murky or unclear, or that simply doesn't highlight your services clearly enough. Okay. A little session on advertising, another session on simply client retention, which when you're running a business, you always have to balance how much energy you put into getting new clients and then keeping your existing clients. Okay. All right. License renewal fees. This is for now. I don't anticipate changing the prices in anytime soon. But essentially, if you think of it from a monthly level, this is almost like an advertising budget in a way, except that it's an advertising budget with a bunch of support. Okay. So once you've completed your initial 18 months and you're level 2 certified, it's as low as $35 a month to be promoted on our website and to have occasional blog features and other interviews. Okay. As well as that support. Level 2 core trained, if you're not quite through that level 2 journey and you're core trained, it's $50 a month. And if somebody, this is unlikely, but if somebody were just to remain level 1 trained after 18 months, then they'd simply pay the original price again until they've gotten their training. And that just kind of incentivizes and allows me the time that we need to monitor. Okay. but just some ideas there. So licensing gives you the right to feature the color vowel chart in your videos. It gives you the right to attract students in an official way with our brand. You can display your license badge on your website. You get that traffic, okay, be recognized as a provider on our website, and you receive that support and coaching as you build your business so that you're not alone. And finally, with accreditation, it's at the close of those 18 months and the completion of those tasks that tell us that you're able and are delivering what we consider color vowel instruction at its best, right? So you're implementing that quality. You still receive 10% off level 2 and level 3 courses. You receive support in effective advertising, which we are always learning about ourselves. And we're able to provide an agreement that renews every 3 years. So as we come to a close, wanted to see, I think I had a special, upcoming trainings for anyone who is not yet level 1 trained. We have courses coming up in July, August, September, October, and November. If you know that you want to go with licensing, you can save 25% on these bundles by talking to me. If we bundle them together, I can do that. So it's 25% off the course if we bundle with licensing. So that's a sort of special offer that I have till the end of this month. Okay. So talk to me if you'd like to do that. And that's about for now. I have a couple of other case studies of different partners, but for now, I kind of feel like that gives you an idea. I'd love to open this up to questions. And I want to thank you for being here. Thanks. Meanwhile, I'm going to post that. This is a code that I'll be able to give you for those who are not level 1 trained. I have a 10% special, a 10% off special for the rest of the month. Okay. All right. So what kind of questions do you have?
I was curious about at the end it said renew after 3 years, renew accreditation. Could you just talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So basically at the end of those 18 months, you move from the licensing alone. You start off, you're just licensed. You can start using the brand. But during those 18 months, we're getting our practices into place together so that you are a provider who is accredited. So that's an added badge. Okay. When you have that accredited badge, we have higher profiles in our website for you. We put out more that publicizes your company. And so that's where you want to be, right? And then we move into an every 3-year relationship where we're always in touch, but the contract and the agreement go for 3 years. So we don't have to spend so much time on, agreeing and paying and so forth. We just take care of the license with the accreditation every 3 years. Okay.
So I'm just trying to understand. So I know you're paying like however much there is a month. And then you're saying after the 3 years is up, what's happening after that? That's what I'm trying to understand.
I'm sorry. The monthly cost is actually paid up front. So
Right,
that
okay.
pay up for that. So it's not being paid every month.
Okay,
But it gives you an idea of how much, just breaking it down by month so you understand.
okay. And
Okay.
then 3 years is over, and what is the process?
Yeah, then you renew.
So you're just paying again after 3 years?
Yes,
Okay,
a month. Think of it as it's any kind of affiliation where you're getting a level of support as well as the publicity from our site. And
Okay.
meanwhile, we're investing, like right now, I'm invested in enhancing our website so that we'll have this, for example, the video feature I mentioned earlier, or ways that learners can find you. So if you look right now on our learners page, it's a very bare bones page, but that's about to change significantly.
Yeah, the reason I kept saying that is because when I think of accreditation, because I have a English language teaching license, just for English for secondary school. And every 5 years you have to like take classes and then you have to prove that you're keeping up with, continuing education, and you got to take CPR or whatever. So I just wanted to know if there were more classes that you have to take or something like that.
Yeah, it's a good question. We were only in our first, this is like our 4th year, maybe 5th of this program. And you're right, like we want to incentivize continual growth. Right now, we haven't had a problem, like our partners always come to our events. So, but I haven't really
That's the
thought,
count, right? When was your last event?
yeah. But generally right now I've been focusing on those first 18 months and the 3 years and the incentive to get the basic training, meaning level 1 and level 2. Okay. Always working on that though. Thank you for sharing that. Other questions? Joan, I know, you're looking at a new reality right now. What of today's presentation had you sort of focused most? What did you consider?
So like I said, I'm interested in maybe just striking out on my own online. I'm going to do something similar to what I did before, where I'm teaching whole classes online, not the tutoring or the coaching and that sort of thing. And so, I can see the value of being licensed as an individual online, particularly as far as, getting my program out there and that sort of thing. So advertising.
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to help with publicizing your school or your company or however you want to think of your practice. But I think what I know is sort of the biggest highlight for me, that I watch the partners like the most, that's the quarterly forum. So it's not as
Okay.
onerous as, every week or even every month, because you're busy, you're running your own business.
Mhm.
Those quarterly meetings are a huge exchange of like, how do you do this? How do I do this? And for example, just collecting testimonials. Like what are some good ways to collect testimonials? How do you do it so it's not awkward? What about video testimonials? Where do you put them? How do you edit them? Where do you post them? All of those questions are questions that other partners are grappling with as well. So we have a nice deep dive on testimonials, right? Or a deep dive on website, like how do you keep your website fresh, or programs, how do you sell your program? Is it just by the hour, or do you have some themed 4-week programs? Do you offer a workshop? And a lot of times, sort of as Amina was describing, having a variety of different options available keeps people engaged with you. Yeah, good.
No, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, think of it almost as if you have a favorite. I often move to the world of sort of physical training and like a yoga teacher that you like, or a personal trainer at the gym, how they keep kind of mixing things up so that you feel engaged and interested in working with them. Hi, Davi.
Can you hear me?
I can.
My question might be a little off topic, but I just wanted to know if I can mention Color Vowel, if I'm making a college assignment or a short oral presentation in my college.
Absolutely. We love that. In fact, I want to make sure on our website, we have a whole page dedicated to research and resources that mention Color Vowel. And I'll take a look here. Here's our website. If you go to research, Davi, you'll see, have you written about Color Vowel? Planning to? We'd like to support you. So we really love when graduate students reach us and tell us what they're up to, and share what they've done. Okay. At the top, share books and articles that contain mention of Color Vowel. Whenever we find out about it, we post it. Most recently, this is a chapter that I wrote in a book by John Murphy. Most recently, Aviva Katzenel, she's one of our teachers, published a book on reading, and another colleague up here. So we've got those. We have academic endorsements, and then you might be interested in our annotated bibliographies that help you understand what the science is behind what we do. Okay.
That would be very, very helpful. Because I was I was planning on actually talking about Color Vowel as my final project for graduating, making kind of a little research project, and I wanted to be sure if I could actually use Color Vowel.
Yeah, and think of it this way. It's not just because I'm saying yes. It's we can think of it down this way. I'm going to just go to the copyright page, so we understand a bit more. Okay. The kind of copyright, we have two kinds, and I promise I'll make this like this won't hurt us. It won't hurt our brains. There are a couple of things. One is we have a trademark. That's Color Vowel. That's a trademark. Okay. That green image you see up at the top and the name of it, that's our brand, right? So for someone to put the brand out and say, teach with Color Vowel, it kind of implies that they are on the inside of that. So that's the brand. So they would need a license to do that. Our copyright is the actual chart. It's the copy of these phrases, this chart, this shape, these combinations of colors. All of that is copyrighted. But what's neat is that we have a kind of licensing called Creative Commons licensing. Raise your hand if you've heard of Creative Commons, but you don't know what it is, right? Yeah, all of us have heard of it. We don't know what it is. I do. Creative Commons is a way of saying you can use this so long as you include, ours is called CC by NC ND. And here is the long piece right there. See that? What that means is it's a kind of licensing that you must provide attribution, which Davi is of course going to do. You're going to provide a citation. That's the attribution. It is, yeah, of course. It's non-commercial, meaning you're not creating this to sell as a published material. That's an academic paper is not commercial, okay? And ND means no derivatives. And all that means is you're not going to change the chart. You're not going to create a different version or take out some of it or replace it. One practical example of that would be, I'm going to replace or add, say, the Portuguese symbols that work best for Portuguese speakers, right? Like I know Now, for example, has, done a version of that, but I know about it. That's the key is all it means is that if you're going to make a change to the chart, talk to me so that I know, because I'm mostly going to be excited. And then if you want to do something commercial, then I want to help you. We want to work on a commercial venture together. But otherwise, no derivatives means no changes. Okay. Everything else is very friendly and informative. So if you are giving a presentation or any kind of an academic action that you're taking, that is covered by Creative Commons. Okay. And here I've got a couple of very easy copy and paste versions of our citations, and a little bit about training and how that is a copyrighted curriculum. Okay. Great. Thank you for that question. I hope that was helpful.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
Sure. And here is that a link to our copyright page if you wanted to share that with somebody, as well as a little bit about what did I have there? Research. Okay. Other questions or comments today? Hi, Tiffany.
Hi. So I'm just thinking about doing this in the most economical way. And I know you usually do some sort of a Black Friday sale because I want to finish my level 2 courses. And I think it would make sense to do that before I do licensing, right? Because then the 18-month license
Well,
would come down.
yeah. So I would say, yeah, it's kind of you kind of figure out what works for you. If you license now, it's because you want to start, putting it out there. So it's also a question of where your business is at this point in time, right? You're ready to get those new clients and want to start using it. That's how that works. When you license with us, you get 10% off your level 2 courses.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Bundle, just if you need, you've taken some of our level 2 courses, I think, right?
Yeah, the core ones. Yeah.
So if you want to, I mentioned earlier that level 1 people could bundle, talk to me and we can bundle a little bit and see what we can do with licensing. I try to lessen the impact, a little bit.
Okay. I'll reach out in an email and let you. Thanks.
Yeah. And in general, you mentioned Black Friday. I'll tell you, every time we've done Black Friday twice when I had Jennifer Campion with me, and both times I so dislike it. I don't like doing Black Friday. It's stressful. We're trying to have Thanksgiving. I feel like I'm making everybody also leave their Thanksgiving. I don't like it. It bothers me ethically. Like, so I think I've stopped doing it. I'm not doing Black Friday. Instead, what we did is we adjusted our prices. We incentivized bundling. It's a major 15% off, which is a lot for us. So that's about the best deal out there. And I basically try not to undercut that ever. Except when it comes to level 1. I'm willing to bend a little bit because that's a video-based course and I can afford some time limited, generous things there, like I did just now a while ago. Okay. But that's a little bit of the pricing piece. And, you know, since we're talking about businesses, this is kind of a piece of that you have to find what works for you. But I also found that teachers who are waiting for a certain kind of sale, that if I didn't communicate it correctly, I just found that it just leaves us all wondering. So I thought I'd rather just have really stable, manageable prices. And that's pretty much what I do now. Yeah. Thanks. That said, especially if you're outside the United States, talk to me because I have some responsive pricing because I know not everybody's, you know, with the same kind of exchange as the US to itself, I guess. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tiffany. Let's see, I'm looking over in the chat. Thank you now for being here. She had to go.
So I'm glad that Tiffany brought something up about businesses because right now my fall is looking like I'm not sure what's going to happen at my university, with people, fewer and fewer people coming to the States to learn English. Which is why when I saw this in my email, I'm like, oh, let me go find out about this. I'm glad I'm glad you said that, you know, start the licensing process when you're when you feel like you're going to get ready to put yourself out there, not when you're just thinking about it like I am. So that was a good thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't start it until I have really the first task is celebrate our licensing partnership on your website. Well, do you have a website? Yeah, you want to at least have a website. Or you come to me and say, Karen, websites are so old. We don't do that anymore. You know, when somebody says that, then I'll have a different first task. But you have to have some kind of a robust platform where, you know, for example, I am not teaching how to make good TikTok videos. That is a different coach who does that. And I can refer you to them. And I can refer you to a timeline of what would be best first, second, and third. But I would say, you know, maybe this is not in my interest to say, but I don't think I want you to already have a sense that the business you're running is on a course for success. And I'm interested in the inside of your business and the client acquisition side of your business. Yeah.
Great.
Because otherwise, wow, that's a lot. Yeah. Yeah. But certainly I can chat anytime you want to chat about the order of things. Like there's I know one guy who does business coaching for ESL sole proprietors, right? So he's all about, you know, how to start getting the clients, how to start establishing the business. And I think he's a good prior step to licensing with Color Vowel. One of our newest partners has already, you know, she has a strong sense that she's on the right foot, you know, she's on the right path. But again, she wasn't sure how to highlight her business as distinct from so many other coaches out there. You know, Southern English coach. Well, what are you really good at? Okay, well, I'm good at pronunciation. Well, how are you really good at that? And that's why she wanted to come for licensing. And of course, you know, anyone who knows me, it's not just pronunciation, of course, but that's just one example of how you might slice it. Okay. Great, everybody. Hey, I want to thank you for being here. It's been a lot of fun. I will post this in the teachers community. And if you're wondering where that is, our teachers community is at learn.colorvowel.com. Briefly, I will show you how it works in case you're not familiar with that space. Here's that link for you. And now I'm going to go and share that window with you. Okay. So the Academy is where all of our professional development happens. And if you move to the teachers area, you'll see teachers community. And I'm not signed in, but I will be. Okay. Good. So this is my alter persona, always finding ways to be in here. Here's the teachers community. Okay. And so in here, when you come in, I always post sessions under recorded sessions. Okay. And so here's, for example, just the other day is our session on using Color Vowel with deaf and hard of hearing students. That was a great session, by the way. Okay. When you're on the home page, you'll also see all of our upcoming sessions. So this Friday, I have a session on any of the Color Vowel materials you own. I'll be highlighting different ways to use those, answering questions. Okay. So all of those upcoming pieces are here. Okay. What else? Yeah, this is a great place to come to ask questions. Okay. And all of our events are here. So when you are in an event and you note yourself as interested, like this one, if you click on interested, it will add you and it will remind you. That's how you receive your notifications. Okay. And then finally, if you feel like you get too many or too few notifications, you can go to your dashboard and you can go to your account rather, and you can go ahead and check notifications and turn, they're just two different kinds. So you can take a look and see what you want. Okay. All right, folks, thank you so much. If you have any questions, and I'll stay behind for a minute or two in case Anna or Kirsty have questions, but the rest of you, thank you so much for being here. Joan, we'll talk soon, okay? Wendy, I'll see you soon. Tiffany, again, Davi, Amina, thank you. Have a great one. Goodbye, Anna. Goodbye, Kirsty. Hang out
Bye.
if you want to talk. Bye-bye.